It's Wednesday, and that means it's time to talk. Today, I want to focus on burnout. Let's talk about it. So, last week, I had the opportunity to speak to some master's students at a university in Nova Scotia. They're environmental master's students dealing with a variety of topics within that field. Climate change, resource management, all sorts of things. So when I was asked to give this talk, I was given the opportunity also to select what I wanted to speak about, but they wanted something that related to my career in the environment and climate change field. And that's how I came upon burnout, because this is something that frequently in the social change field we face a lot, but we do a really bad job of talking about it. So for me, burnout is not just anxiety or aspects of depression and feeling like you don't want to continue in what you're doing. It's like a next level up. So I have had experience with anxiety and depression since I was a small child. And the first time that I experienced burnout, it was something so much more than what I had experienced before. Not to say that either of them one is better or worse. It's just different. And really, I think the first time that I experienced that level of anxiety was when I was finishing my master's. I was in another part of the world. I had a very intense undergraduate study. I did it in 3 years instead of 4. I had lost my mother in between my second and third year, and then went into this really intensive master's program as well. And so all of those things, plus being away from home in a fairly similar culture, but different enough that it was challenging. I had also lived elsewhere in between those 2 degrees. So like a whole bunch of culture shock, reverse culture shock happening again. And I just remember waking up one day and just feeling this heaviness that I had never felt before. And just like this very significant, unshakable weight. And it was horrible. I couldn't breathe. I didn't want to get out of bed. I wanted to give up. It wasn't a great feeling, bottom line. And I've experienced this several times throughout my career as well. It's really hard when you're working in an area that is really hard, not just on your head, but on your heart as well. And by area, I mean the field of practice, not a part of the world, although that is part of it as well, I'm sure. And it actually caused me to leave my work in the environmental social justice world for a little bit. I went back to business. And I really enjoyed that. And then eventually another opportunity to be back in climate change popped up, and I jumped at it and was very fortunate to have been given that opportunity. And now I'm continuing, I'm not in that role anymore. I'm now teaching, and I'm loving that. It's a whole different ball game and a different way to make impact and to see change happen. But the one thing that was most striking about that talk the other day was just the level of burnout these students are already feeling. And we're only a month into the new school year, and it was quite alarming, the fear and the worry associated with climate change and what the future of not just our local area is going to look like, but around the world. And it has obviously been on my mind since last Friday. I really worry that our next generation of change makers are already struggling, and where those of us who have been in the field for a little while have been at. It's really worrying for a number of reasons, but mostly we so rely on those next generations coming behind us to provide new, fresh ideas and energy. And we always learn and we get better as we go. I think that is the hope. But anyway. So fitness for me has been a terrific outlet when I'm feeling burnt out, when my anxiety is high. If I don't work out for a little while, I know my anxiety is triggered more so than usual. And so that's why for me, the routine of working out in the morning is so important. And it's not just that I enjoy it. It's not just that I'm a morning person. It's that it is the routine I was able to establish and can stick with over the long term. Sleep also, fitness usually helps to improve sleep. I have yet to see evidence of this, but I think that's less to do with fitness and more to do with just the way my brain is. Talking about it is really important. So talking when you're talking to loved ones or medical professionals, when you're feeling levels of anxiety or burnout, whatever the case may be. I don't think there's a one size fits all, as with pretty much everything in life, but I do think it is important to acknowledge. So if you are feeling burnt out, highly recommend just reaching out to somebody, just even to say, hey, I'm not feeling it today. I've been struggling for a little bit. Also, as I mentioned on Monday's post, take a break, pause. Even if it's just for an hour or an afternoon, or a week or a month if it needs to be, or a couple of years, whatever you need to do to kind of get back to why you were passionate about what you were doing in the first place. And it may very well be that you don't ever want to return, and that's okay too. You are not responsible, or you don't owe anything to anyone in that respect. You don't need to have the weight of the world on your shoulders and feel like if you're not doing it, nobody else will, because there are other people. And mental health is extremely important. So if you're not at your best, then you can't really serve others either. So I think I'll leave it there. I hope you're all well, and I hope you're not feeling burnt out. But if you are, no, you are not alone. You're not the first to go through it. You probably won't be the last one to go through it either, unfortunately. There are plenty of supports there should you need to access them. Take care, and as always, don't forget to be kind.